going on? This is Chris Lee and this is Blasphemous, my 1949 Ford F3. So drivetrain, my engine is a Toyota 1JZ. My transmission is a Nissan 350Z 6-speed. My drive shaft is custom and it's running a Ford Bronco 9-inch rear. The only adapter, or one of the few adapters on this vehicle, is actually the Collins adapter that mounts the transmission to the 1JZ, and it was flawless. It came with a flywheel. It was the only part of the project I didn't want to tackle myself, to be honest with you. But other than that, it's actually been fairly reliable. It's running on the stock ECU. I've just deleted a bunch of unnecessary components. Other than that, it's basically a bone stock 1JZ with an intake and an exhaust. And it's rowdy enough for my taste. It's rowdy enough for my taste.
Rowdy enough for my taste.
Covers the drivetrain.
How much power?
That's a good question. As far as horsepower, if I had to be honest with you, I would say I've never put it on a dyno, so I wouldn't know. I would say look up your standard 1JZ VVTi with your basic bolt-on mods, and then take away 15% because it's old and tired. This thing has my chassis, my suspension, my steering. Every bracket is mine. It's got a 5 3/4 inch roof chop. Just a ton of metal fabrication, and it's definitely something that needs to be appreciated in person, I think. So the wheels are off a '96 Ford Ranger. These things are commonly found in junkyards, or people are just giving them away because they're unappealing, which is exactly why I went with them, because this is probably the only vehicle I've seen that rock these wheels on purpose. Firestone white walls. These are an actual bias ply tire. So for those of you who are not familiar with these things, if you've ever seen the cartoons where they make those tires look really bubbly and they make the vehicles sway a lot, if you can visualize that in a cartoon sense, that's what these are. It's not a performance tire. It's very different from your modern low profile tire, I'll tell you that. Why go with that instead of a more modern tire? Because it looks cool. The chassis is 2x4 by 3/16 thick box steel. All my suspension is Dom tubing. My control arms are 1/2 inch plate. Cantilever setup is all one-off. It's got full air ride, front and back. She sits on the ground. She comes up about 7 inches for New York driving. Got a idler pulley off a Honda S2000, BMW E30 seat belts, Mazda RX-7 seats. There's probably a couple of other things that I'll remember as we're going along. For example, my mirrors are from a late 70s Honda motorcycle. So the entire steering setup is custom. The steering wheel is an old Baja style 70s steering wheel that I modified to fit the application. Steering shaft is all custom. The steering box is a Ford F3, approximately 1949. My steering arm is just a piece of scrap steel with a couple of bullets in it. The horn is universal, some old Ford horn. The cooling system on this thing, rear mount radiator. I'm running 1.5-inch copper tube underneath the truck. All of the hard lines are all steel, fabricated. And then again, the 3-core radiator. I have 2 fans on it. One is on a thermostat, the other one's on a switch. But I gotta tell you, I've been driving this thing a couple years, hot New York summers, and I haven't had any cooling problems at all. And it seems to behave. It hasn't given me any problems. All the fuel line's custom. It's all custom 3/8 steel line. I didn't want any unions or fittings under there, so it's solid one run all the way to the front, and then it turns flexible at the ends, at the connections. The fuel pump is just a regular old Walbro, nothing too spectacular. My tank is just a universal, I think it's like an 8-gallon. The fuel gauge back there is actually my hand. I stick it in there and I find out how much gas I got. And you know what, it's worked so far, so yeah, low tech, low budget, very effective. All the floors are fabricated just because of the setup. There was no way I was gonna even attempt to try to work the original floor pan, so I just ripped it all out, started over. So it's got my custom transmission tunnel, my floors, some of the mounting points of the cab to the chassis are accessible from in there. The battery box is stashed behind the seat, so it was all tailored to fit the truck in a way that I felt would make it function and be aesthetically pleasing. I didn't want certain normal things to be visible. Less is more with the look. So I didn't want a brake booster visible. I didn't want a battery visible. I didn't want lines visible. I just wanted to make it look like a bare bones 40s hot rod, but you know, with my twist.